Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report today. There'll probably be about 5 parts, so check it out. Links will be posted by tomorrow evening. So, alright, we left off with this article. China's Prime Minister vows stronger partnership with Pakistan. And I wanted to get these articles I'm going to cover in this video and the first video, but it's just so much, man. Sometimes I can go faster and get more covered, but then other times I can't. So it should be less than like 8 minutes. Anyways, CIA to continue waging drone war in Pakistan. Says despite Obama's promise to shift the drone war to the Pentagon, it will remain for the time being under the CIA. So, according to officials who remain anonymous, the decision to keep the CIA in charge of the program for the second time being is so that it can remain secret and so the Obama regime can maintain deniability. So a professor at Georgetown University said here, when a government claims for itself the unreviewable power to kill anyone, anywhere on the earth at any time based on secret criteria and secret information discussed in a secret process by largely unnamed individuals, it undermines the rule of law, Brooks said. So the decision not only to keep the drone war in Pakistan secret, but to continue it at all is increasingly controversial. So, U.S. acknowledges killing 4 Americans in drone strikes. The Obama regime acknowledged on Wednesday that the United States has killed 4 American citizens in drone strikes in Yemen and Pakistan. So I'd imagine the ones from Yemen are Anwar al-Awlaki and Pakistan. I'm not sure who that is. The other one was this individual from North Carolina. So it said here that in a speech, Holder said that legally American citizens who are deemed to be operational terrorists who pose an imminent threat of violent attack and whose capture is infeasible may be targeted. U.S. drone attack kills 8 in eastern Afghanistan. So one of the things is they say that the U.S. claims to be militants, but sources say civilians have been the main victims of the attacks. U.S.-led troops kidnap Afghan civilians in nocturnal operation. They've been doing this a lot at night raids. Just pillaging and stuff. U.S. soldiers have kidnapped several, and abductions too, kidnapped several Afghan civilians during a recent night raid that troubled southern Afghanistan. So the U.S. forces damaged their properties and mistreated their women and children during the raid in the city of Kandahar. They targeted residences of several religious scholars and tribal elders during the brutal oppression. Eyewitnesses also insist those who have been kidnapped are innocent. Kidnappings have sparked widespread anger among the local population, with locals threatening regional officials with protests if U.S. night raids and kidnappings continue. Protests, and they probably just chuckle, have a nice laugh about that. Afghan officials, body of U.S. torture video victim found near base. So complaints about the Afghan-American torture Zakira Kandahari took an ugly turn for the worse today as Afghan officials announced that the victim in a torture video showing Kandahari was discovered just 200 yards outside the U.S. military base in which he was stationed. So the victim had disappeared in the custody of U.S. Special Forces before the video emerged last week showing Kandahari torturing him. The U.S. denied the video showed U.S. troops, but Kandahari was heard talking or taking instructions from an unseen man with an American accent. 80 girls poisoned in Faryab province of Afghanistan. According to local authorities in the province, 80 schoolgirls have been poisoned. So they said the incident took place after an unknown individual attacked the compound of the school with toxic gas, leaving at least 3 girls unconscious. Said the number of schoolgirls later increased to 80 after inhaling the poisonous gas. So, yeah, this is interesting. It says, however, education ministry officials deny militants' involvement behind the poisoning of the schoolgirls and called it a psychological issue. So remember they said they were going to be punished. They were going to be punished. Let me try closing this, maybe. Education officials also wanted to try those schoolgirls who claims of being poisoned in the future. So, and that's the thing, is it's probably due to anxiety of the schools being blown up by the Taliban because they don't want their young females being indoctrinated by the Western ideals and that. It's probably more of just them being scared shitless that they're going to be in school and it's going to blow up. But most of the news that I've seen as far as them schools being blown up, there was no casualties. They do it when there's nobody in there, so trying to send a message. But who knows what's going on there. Kyrgyzstan bent on evicting U.S. air base in 2014. So Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan's president has reaffirmed that next year the Central Asian nation will evict the U.S. airbase that supports military operations in nearby Afghanistan. The U.S. pays $60 million annually for the base. It says here Kyrgyzstan would compensate for the loss of revenue through other economic projects. Remember the Uzbekistan base as part of the same similar operations, basically inflow of Afghan troops, NATO troops, and that equipment. There were talks of a U.S. base in Uzbekistan, but then, of course, the talks fell apart. Turkmenistan to start production at giant gas field. So they plan to begin production at Galganesh. It says here the world's second largest gas field by June 30th, which will allow the boost exports to Asia and help Europe lessen its dependence on Russian gas. Turkmenistan, a post-Soviet Central Asian country of 5.5 million, which borders Afghanistan and Iran, holds the world's fourth largest natural gas reaches after Russia, Iran, and Qatar. Now this is interesting because we just covered this article. Russia plans to deploy troops along the Tajik-Afghan. So they're not the same countries, but it's in the same area. It's crazy that everybody knows what's going to happen here. Predicting instability in the violence-racked country, Russia plans to deploy troops on the Tajikistan-Afghan border to prevent the spillover of violence into Russia. Maybe that's the whole point, to create the spillover of violence into Russia by the West. And of course, like in Syria, everybody knows what's going to happen. U.S. boosts military presence in the Balkans. Serbs living in the north of Kosovo flatly refuse to abide by the agreement reached in Brussels, which makes them deprived of Serbia's citizenship in favor of becoming Kosovars, the citizens of Kosovo. Soon they will face a military force called in to guarantee the fulfillment of Brussels Accords. It says by the end of May, beginning of June, the formations of the 525th U.S. Army Battalion Surveillance Brigade came to take part in a 3-week-long exercise in Germany. So, the future mission includes combat planning, preventing and putting down public unrest, evacuation of wounded, and interaction with civilian officials. Myanmar Muslims jailed for killing Buddhist monks. So, can you believe this? It says here, a Myanmar court sentenced 7 Muslims to prison today, one of them to a life term in the killing of Buddhist monk amid deadly sectarian violence that was overwhelmingly directed against minority Muslims, but has not led to any criminal trials against members of the country's Buddhist majority. So pretty surprising. They actually told the truth there. This Aung Suu Kyi's Saffron monks stalk streets with machetes, mass slaughtering refugees. So these Saffron monks are committing genocide in Myanmar. The West has both created this movement and is silently supporting it, hoping to disrupt and ultimately drive out extensive Chinese interests found at the epicenter of the violence. So yeah, it says here, these Buddhist monks and others armed with swords and machetes Friday stalked the streets of a city in central Myanmar with sectarian violence, left about 20 people dead. The article was exactly, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? Washington's love affair with Myanmar. It's the resources, stupid. So it's funny, KSC, a little Muslim. Is there a Muslim? I'm not sure. But it's funny how KFC, it's like you're talking about people in Gaza eating KFC. I'm just thinking, I'm like, God, dude, that must just be some really, really, really bad chicken for you, dude. Like GMO or something, dude. When you got like that, or it's kind of like McDonald's, right, or Burger King in Japan or these other places. It's got to be some real bad shit, because they're like everything else. They're trying to import culture and Western ideals. It's not really Western ideals. They've killed Western ideals. It's just this kind of global culture is what it is. Global kind of a corporate culture, but really it's to kill people. I mean, people get hooked on this food and it'll kill them. So they say Myanmar is pristine and extremely underdeveloped, and it holds abundant natural resources from gold, gas, oil, uranium, precious gems, zinc, and copper. Chinese troops suffering post-traumatic stress disorder in Tibet says the battle to keep Tibetans under control is inflicting severe psychological damage on Chinese armed police, an internal training document has revealed. So it says here, one section titled, How Should You Deal with Flashbacks of Brutal Episodes? One of them is referring to March 16, 2011, when a Tibetan monk self-immolated in a market. And the last article I have for you is over 400 killed in a week of Iraq violence. After a massive series of sectarian bombings killed 133 people on Monday, more bombings hit Tuesday, killing scores of additional people. Actually, today I think there were 60 people that were killed and another 100 that were injured. They cap a solid week of fighting that has seen more than 400 people killed and many hundreds more wounded. And this is a success. You know, when people say, "Oh, we lost this war, that war," every war was a success for the globalists. This is exactly what they want. And if they can get these transitional governments in, if they can get the contracts flowing by these global corporations and these puppet governments, transitional governments, to oppress their people, separate them from their resources, and create this sectarian violence so that nobody focuses on the issues, you know, on the real big problems. Everybody's fighting each other, nobody can unite and try to really bring about peace and stability and prosperity. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.